Welcome back, everybody. My name is Grace or Gibby, whatever you prefer, and today I'm going to be testing out the Stormfall weapons from the Nickelclad Night Owl. If you want to fight it, let me grab the house ID which you should visit, which has a house guard. The house ID is 1032631. Thank you, Jay, for putting your house guard there, but that's much faster than searching for it in Paxia or in other random encounters because it's guaranteed to find it. So what I'm going to be doing today, this beautiful sunny day, where I am at least, is testing out the Stormfall weapons for multi-hit armors. Now, I was thinking of water armors with multi-hit skills, and you could use them to nuke, but really efficiently with the SP and HP regain on this weapon. But unfortunately, I came up dry. The only one I know of is that $100 package. And actually, Corvid came up with this idea. It's really strong because it has a 6-hit skill for like 100 SP. So it does work really well if you are willing to have a $100 package. But I wouldn't buy the package, just use this weapon. But if you happen to have it, it's a great weapon to use. So what I'm going to be doing is testing out how well the weapons can work to restore your resources and maintain Beastform. Now, what I'm going to be doing is using a werepyre build, just pretty average stats, 100 intellect. You can go less, you can go more, not really big deal. But I'm maining Dex and Beastmasters. I don't really have an optimal setup. If I were going to play tryhard, I would have an Elevuln guest and Elevuln pet, specifically the Protean and the malicious devil werepyre bats. What I'm going to be doing is simply attacking, and to restore my mana, I'm either going to use Rejuvenating Necklace or Essence of Carnage. So now what I'm going to do is Valgyr's Omen. I don't actually know what this thing does. All I know is that it boosts energy damage, but because Essence of Carnage is so OP, I'm going to use Rejuvenating Necklace instead. And my testing, basically, is going to see whether or not I can maintain full resources throughout an entire run of the Crossroads. So 12 battles with HP heals in between. But I'm going to see how well I can keep my resources topped up in just an average setup with normal gear. Will I run out of SP halfway through? Will I run out of HP? Will I die randomly? I don't know. You'll have to watch and find out. But at this point, I'm going to speed up the clip, and I'll see you guys later at the end, and I'll analyze the results of this test. Okay, so we're pretty much to the end, and we're up against a 50 energy resistance monster, so I'm doing a lot less damage, and also I'm missing a lot. But I'm going to just go over my observations of how efficient the sustain was. So obviously none of these were crazy difficult monsters. They were all very basic level 150 monsters of the water variety. What I did notice was when I was dealing low damage in the setup, so against the Doom Jellies that I ran into 2 of in a row. Oh, damn. Jesus. Anyways, I think actually if I use Deadly Predator, I might be able to use this. Yeah. Anyways, irrelevant. What I did notice when I was doing low damage, I actually ran out of mana before I ran out of SP, because I wasn't healing as much from the rejuvenating necklace. And what I did notice also was that there were some battles where it got close and I almost ran out of SP, but I was running a Misk and an overcharged guest summon, or overcharged guest call, because Essence of Carnage is on SP mode when you have it to boost damage. And I never ran out of SP first. I ran out of mana first, but only here, and again I ran out of MP. I also ran out of SP, but it was a 50% energy monster, so I really ran out of MP first, and then my guest drained my SP. But the conclusions are, that's my cat, not a conclusion. My conclusion is that this weapon can more than sustain beast forms, particularly if you have an accuracy boost of some kind. I brought Belgear's Omen to boost damage directly, but I really think in hindsight, something like Goggernaut Helm, which I believe I had in my inventory, a little bit foolish of me not to use it. Yeah, Goggernaut Helm or Ring of Precision. That boosts your accuracy and makes sure your hits connect, which means you get all 4 hits of healing every turn. I think those would be very, very effective in making sure you don't run out of resources. But that being said, the weapons in a 4-hit armor are strong enough to maintain a guest, a Misk, and a beast form for several turns. Now, of course, werepyre is split costs, so it's half MP and half SP. So if you use it in werewolf, you'll notice it's a little harder to upkeep because you don't have to, because you're spending more on SP rather than splitting it between MP and SP. And werepyre also has that toggle where you trade a little bit of HP for SP and MP. Of course, it's split like everything in werepyre. But you also don't have to worry about having a Misk to increase your mana regain, like I had with Rejuvenating Necklace. So I think the trade-offs and the situation with werepyre and werewolf doesn't mean you can't use it in werepyre. It just means, or in werewolf and only in werepyre. I just think you'd have to be a little more careful with your SP, and maybe you'd need something like an SP healing pet, or you wouldn't be able to have an overcharged guest. You can only have a normal guest. That's my overall estimation of this weapon for sustain purposes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think my conclusions are, if you have enough accuracy or a source of defense loss like Time Gauntlet to make sure you're hitting 95% of your hits or almost all of your hits, or all of them, that's pretty easy to do. I intended to use Moonwalker's Grace throughout the kills to then boost my accuracy and damage, but I totally forgot about it until like the 10th fight, and then I didn't have the mana to use it, or the boss fight. But anyways, if you have the accuracy to land all 4 of your hits, you will never run out of SP in beast form, unless you low roll and don't get the boost like 5 times in a row. If you're using the magic weapon, your boost to get 4 times the healing from the weapon is almost cut in half. So I don't think you'll have the same results. I think you'll have notably weaker results with a magic weapon compared to the ranged or the melee weapon. But I'm not a fan of basic attacking with magic weapons anyways, under normal circumstances. So that's my analysis. So with a ranged or melee weapon, with sufficient accuracy, you will always sustain your SP. If you also need MP, it it becomes more difficult because you need to do enough damage. So against low resistance monsters like the Doom Jellies or like the Energy Shifter that I fought, you won't be able to get enough damage with Rejuvenating Necklace. You could, of course, use Essence of Carnage and toggle it onto the MP heal mode, and that would probably make you all set. But again, if you're doing low damage, both of those are affected by reduced damage. If you're doing high damage though, like 400 plus, you'll be gaining tons of mana each turn. Now let's see, I look like about 700 damage, 700 MP, and 162. So if you're on like 70 plus resistances, or you have an Elevuln source on your pet, you'll be fine and dandy. So accuracy is key. Dealing damage and werepyre specifically is also key because you need to do damage to regain your mana. And if you were to use this in the vampire subrace, which I think I'm going to make a separate video on in the future, you would also need to make sure you're dealing enough damage each turn to sustain your mana with either Essence of Carnage or Rejuvenating Necklace. Overall, I think the fact that I only ever left Beastform on the boss fight is pretty revealing about how strong this weapon is for resource maintenance. It's just really, really good. I wasn't using anything crazy. Again, I had an overcharged guest that wasn't really doing much, 30% damage. Yeah, let's check. Yeah, 27% boost to range damage. I think it's quite strong that I was able to sustain my SP reliably for 10 fights, which is really good. Would this work on bosses? I think the quick and easy answer is yes, but not nearly as well. One, bosses are more likely to be dodgy, just because. So if you're fighting a boss, you're more likely to miss more often, so you'd have to spend more resources on your accuracy, and therefore you'd have to upkeep more resources in general. Secondly, you have to worry about your defenses more, and so you might not be able to just have an offensive misc, which helps with your damage or your accuracy. You might have to have a defensive misc, which means your accuracy or damage goes down, which means your mana and SP regeneration would also go down. And thirdly, it's just like with bosses, everything you have to be a little more careful, play a little bit slower. So I just think that you might find more trouble running this strategy against bosses. That being said, I don't think it's at all bad for bosses. In fact, I think it's still quite efficient. You might just not run an overcharged guest and might run only a misc, and instead of Angler Linnorm, you might run Fairy Godmother. I just clicked Angler Linnorm again. You might run Fairy Godmother or even a Defense Lost pet. I don't know if we have any for energy. I don't think we do, but that's the example I'm going with. Now, so I do think you can use this strategy and just maintain beast form against bosses. I just think you'll have to put a little more effort into it. Maybe you'll have to use Essence Orb a little bit. Maybe you'll have to use a healing spell. Like you'll have to do this for 4 turns, 5 turns, 6 turns, and then turtle a little bit, heal your resources, and then go back to it for another 5 or 6 turns. Overall, I think these weapons are really, really good. I think the magic weapon is significantly weaker than the ranged and melee, and I think that should be aware if you're going to be a mage. Using beast form with this, you're going to be a lot less effective than warriors or rangers. But that's pretty much it. These weapons surpassed my expectations. I didn't think it would be that reliable, and I think if I had used accuracy stimulants, either Moonwalker's Grace, Time Gauntlet for defense loss, or Guggernaut Helm / Ring of Precision, I would have had no issues with mana or SP until the boss. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.